And we are underway, broadcasting to from our North Catholic studios in Cranberry Township for our 17th episode in this year of our podcast on North Catholic Athletics. My name is Alex Brown.
And I'm Ryan Berry.
And together we are your hosts for this podcast. And today we have a very special edition of the North Catholic Athletics podcast, as we have a North Catholic Athletics legend with us today. Just to name some of her many achievements and accomplishments before we get on, because just a few, because if I name them all, we'll be here all day. Okay, so first off, she is a North Catholic WPIAL champion. She is a North Catholic state champion. And she is a North Catholic former Gatorade Player of the Year, former Post-Gazette Player of the Year. She is the North Catholic all-time leading scorer in girls basketball with 2,488 points. She is also the all-time leading scorer at the University of Massachusetts. And she is also the two-time A10 Player of the Year. We have the one, the only, Sam Breen with us today. Sam, thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Sam, to start off, was basketball always your main sport growing up, or did you more focus on it when you were in high school and knew that was a sport you wanted to pursue?
Yeah, I think going into high school, knew I wanted to play some sport in college. So going into high school was between basketball and softball. Obviously I chose basketball. Glad I did. But going into high school, I knew I should focus on one if I wanted to take it seriously and play at the college level. So,
Sam, what brought you to North Catholic?
There was a lot. It was between North Catholic and Vincentian at the time. I knew my parents wanted me to go to private school, so it's kind of between the two. And I think the North Catholic, just everything it stood for, the tradition, all that. And not that you can go really to a high school necessarily for athletics, but obviously women's basketball did entice me as well. It was very intriguing, wanted to be a part of something special. And Coach Molly Rotman, we still talk like every day. And just getting to know her definitely made me want to, go to school there, play for her. And I think it ended up working out pretty well for the both of us. We have a really good relationship still. So definitely glad that was the choice I made.
Awesome.
So Sam, you were at North Catholic at Troy Hill for your first year in high school, and then you had 3 at Cranberry. How was that transition to Cranberry athletics wise, and how do you feel the facilities and the upgrades up here in Cranberry helped you out in playing basketball?
Yeah, that was definitely a wild transition. Just, you guys probably don't know, but obviously the school at Troy Hill was a little bit older than the building in Cranberry. So, no air conditioning, no heat during the winter, none of that. So usually the gym up there was either super, super cold or super, super warm, but I loved it. It was awesome. Freshman year was fun. And then migrating to Cranberry, it was an easier commute for me, living in Gibsonia. So that, for one, helped out. But then obviously the facilities, being a brand new school, one of the first classes to go to the building in Cranberry. My class was a little bit smaller. There's a lot more students there now. But just figuring that out, and, the brand new gym, obviously still a beautiful gym. Brand new gym was amazing. And women's basketball, we're pretty lucky. I feel like, I don't know if it's still this way, but when I was there, we kind of got, first choice of when we wanted our practice times. So we usually practice right after school, which helped me out, because I like to go to bed early. So practice 3 to 5, go back, do homework, go to sleep. And yeah, obviously the school's beautiful, and I'm glad that it's growing and continuing to succeed in like every aspect.
Absolutely. They still do that today. The girls still get the first spot right after school works. That's a good spot. That is a good spot. At Troy Hill, though, didn't they, the basketball court, didn't they have a drop off on the one end?
They did. I definitely almost fell off at the one game, and one of the opponents, Brenna Wise, who you guys might be familiar with, she's another WPIAL women's basketball player legend. She caught me as I was like about to fall off. So yes, there was a big drop off on the one end.
Wow. You played for, as you mentioned, Coach Rotman earlier, and the relationship you have with her. What was it like playing for her for those 4 years?
I mean, playing for her was awesome. I'm really big on forming relationships with my coaches. So kind of like honesty and transparency was there from jump. After I started going to open gyms, going in as a freshman, I was super nervous and didn't really want to go to open gyms too often. And I'm sure she's the first to tell anyone that. But once I started going, I really started enjoying it, and I loved her. I loved everything that, she taught me, and she just had like a knowledge that was like off the charts. She played at Delaware. So knowing that at the time, thinking that I wanted to play Division 1, knowing that she could help me with that because she had already played Division 1. And then obviously she has a family, 4 sons who like I'll go to North Catholic. She's North Catholic through and through. So just having the family aspect, the basketball aspect, and everything, I knew she was like the perfect coach for me. And I mean, that shows because she, like I said, we still talk every day, and she still continues to like support me and give me insight on my game, and all that. So yeah, she's awesome.
Speaking of Coach Rodman, while you were at North, you passed her for the all-time leading scorer for North Catholic. What did that record mean to you? And as you were going up to it, did you know you were getting close? Because some of the players here who have achieved 1,000 points the last few years didn't actually know how close they were because they tried to keep it a surprise. Did you know you were close? And how was that as soon as you got that?
I did know I was close. I didn't know the exact number she had. I didn't know the exact number I had, but like people had been talking and there were some articles written about it. So I knew it was like, in communication in papers. So I knew it was like close, didn't know when or if I would get it necessarily, I guess. And I remember it was a game we were playing at Oakland Catholic. And I remember the buzzer went off. There was like 6 seconds left on the clock. And I was like, why is the buzzer going off? Like, the period is not over for 6 more seconds. So I was so confused. And then I realized, and obviously it being her record, was like super awesome, just because at that point I was a senior. We had been like super, super close. So knowing it was her record, and seeing how happy she was for me to break that, it was just like awesome. Like I still remember that moment to this day, like 6 years later.
Something that jumped out at me when we were researching your stats here at North is that you scored 1,000 points when you were in your sophomore year. You reached that accomplishment. That's unbelievable to me. And that record, I think, is going to stand tall for a while. But one of those reasons Coach Rotman said for that was your unbelievable court vision. So your court vision, how important has that been for you personally over the course of your basketball career?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that's helped me. Like, that's probably one of the things that's helped me most. That kind of flies under the radar a little bit. I know for me, like, especially like in the Atlantic 10, I and my teammates, but I brought a lot of attention. So I got double teamed a lot. So having the court vision to be able to pass out of the double team, kind of helped me be more confident when that occurred. Cause the point of a double team is to get the ball out of your hands or make you turn it over, and being confident that, I wasn't going to turn over and one of my teammates was going to be open and finding them, I think really helped me out. So for our team, especially like here and at North Catholic, like it's kind of pick your poison. If you're going to double me and leave someone else open, like they're going to knock down the shot too. So I think that definitely helped out. And that was like a confidence thing and definitely took some time, getting into, but I think I have been blessed with like just kind of a natural like sense of vision around the court. Like I feel like sometimes I see things that I definitely shouldn't have seen. Don't know why I see them, but like see an open player like last second and like dish it off. And that's always been something that I feel like flies under the radar. And my coach here has made it very known. Like I'm not a facilitator, not a point guard, whatever, but like for a forward, my assists were higher than I would have thought, honestly. So it's always a plus.
Of all your accomplishments here at North, whether it's the win record, the Whitfield Championship, or the state championship, which one of those would you feel like was the best moment, or the moment that you enjoyed the most? Maybe if it was something else.
I definitely would say the state championship, not only because, but like we had lost the Whitfield Championship earlier that season. I won the Whitfield my senior year, state my junior year. So we lost to Vincentian in the Whitfield Championship my junior year, and then went on, played really well in playoffs. There were a few games we started down and came back late. And then we were at IUP and Vincentian had lost the game before us. So as soon as we saw them lose, like we knew, I mean, we could beat them, but as soon as we saw Vincentian lose, I think we knew like the title, like we could fully win that title. Like they lost, the title is ours. So they lost. And then that game was a pretty tough game. We ended up winning. That might've been the quarterfinals. So to go on and win states when we hadn't even won Whitfield, I thought was like amazing. And the team we had that year was like our talent. We had talent, but like our chemistry is really what carried us. Like our talent, maybe, 7 or 8 out of 10, but like chemistry was like through the roof. And that's definitely what like elevated us to that state championship win. And that was not a close state championship game. I think we won by like 26 or something. So it wasn't like a nail biter or anything. Yeah. But just like winning and going to Hershey, winning, getting like the 5-pound chocolate bar, the trophy, all that was just awesome. It was so fun.
5-pound chocolate bar.
Yes. And that's what I grabbed. I didn't grab the trophy. I grabbed the chocolate bar. So.
I think that's what I might go to as well.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you went to Penn State High School. and you played Big Ten basketball for them. But by the end of the 2 years there, you didn't even know if you wanted to play basketball anymore by that point, because it didn't quite work out. But if you could go back in time, would you do anything differently in that senior year or junior year in terms of handling the recruiting process, maybe a little bit differently?
Um, I want to say no, because obviously everything like led me to where I am, and I wouldn't have ended up at UMass had I done something differently. But like definitely before I came to UMass, I wish I had just taken more time. I didn't have too much time because it was weird. I was signed with Dayton at the beginning of my senior year, and then they had some coaching changes in like April. So I got my release and I had like 3 weeks to pick a school. So it's not like I had that much time. But in that 3 weeks, I kind of wish I would have like maybe visited a few more schools. But I still think I would have picked Penn State. It seemed like the right fit at the time. And I wouldn't give up that experience for like anything. Obviously, it was like not the best for me, both mentally and physically. But if I didn't go through that and like hit my lowest low, I wouldn't have like been here and found a school that I wanted to take my 5th and 6th year. So, as hard as it was at the time, it definitely like proved to be worth it.
When you entered the transfer portal in 2019, Coach Verdi reached out to you asking if you want to go to UMass. What was your initial reaction to that, and how did that process lead you to going to UMass?
Yeah, I was like, absolutely not. I'm going close to home. I did not want to go more than like 3 hours, maybe 4 from home, because at Penn State I was going home like every weekend. Like I was like, honestly, I was miserable. So I was going home like every weekend, and I was like, I'm not going 9.5 hours from home. It's not happening. And my dad was like, you have 5 official visits. Like, just give it a shot. Like, who cares? Like, it can't hurt to at least visit. And I was like, okay. Coach Verdi really convinced me to visit. I was like, all right, I'll just go visit. Like, I'm not going to Massachusetts. And I got here, got off the plane, met Coach Verdi, and I was like, probably within the first, like, I don't even know, first hour, I was like, oh man, I really might be going to Massachusetts. And then every visit after that, I was comparing to UMass, and like nothing was even close. So committed here, moved in January of that year. And Coach Verdi actually, as you guys probably know, just got the head coaching job at Pitt.
Yeah.
So our relationship would have stood, like, we're gonna have a relationship for like the rest of our lives. I trust him like so much. He trusts me, and I know we've established that relationship, but just knowing that he's at Pitt now too is like awesome. So he's close to home. So I'm probably going to get to physically see him more than I would have had he stayed at UMass. So I'm excited for that.
So, speaking of Coach Verdi, what kind of coach is Pitt getting in him?
Definitely a passionate coach. He's extremely passionate. He's like super invested. If you guys ever tune in to a Pitt women's game, he's going to look very angry on the sideline. He's very Italian. His eyebrows are going to be like almost a V. He's going to look very angry, but I swear he's like a giant teddy bear, big family guy. He's awesome. The coach you see on the court is not the person he is all the time. He's very intense, very passionate. But he really cares about like his players on and off the court. So whether they're playing, not getting in, playing 20 minutes, playing 35 minutes, like he's going to love all his players the same, which I think is a testament to who he is, because not all coaches are like that.
So before you went to UMass, they were 10th in the A10 2 years in a row before you got there. And once you got there, they were never below 7th. So what do you feel like was there a culture shift, or was it just an influx of talent that really helped bring you guys over the edge?
I think kind of a mix of both. When Coach Verdi got here, he obviously picked up recruiting right away. Had some really talented players. Haley Lydell, who I played with for a semester before COVID hit. She's actually playing overseas now, so she was super talented. Bash Perry, who I played with again for a semester, but it wasn't like a whole roster necessarily of like high caliber talent. So bringing in, a few transfers here and there, especially with the transfer portal. So some transfers, a lot of talent out of high school. And then that on top of the chemistry, because I feel like personally talent can only carry you so far. You could be like a 10 out of 10 on the talent scale, but if you're like at a 2 on the chemistry, like you're not going to win games. So I think we as a team, especially 3 seasons ago now, kind of starting then, like culture's been what carried us. 3 years ago, we went to the A10 tournament with 7 players, and we ended up making it to the championship. We lost, but we only had 7 players because some people left and were dismissed mid-season. And after that, we definitely like locked into like our culture and who we are. And the 7 of us like really became like not like the focal point, but like kind of the cornerstone, because like we had played 3 years together. Like all 7 of us were here for like the last 3 years. So I think that definitely helped us. And like who goes to a conference tournament with 7 people and like makes it to a championship? So we like always had that to like look back on and know that, we can play with anyone, especially after that.
Well, that's really impressive. And when you have that kind of a close of a group like that, especially with 7 people, did you guys really start to become like a family on and off the
Mhm.
court?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because that's actually the year we were ranked seventh going into the tournament. So like as a seventh seed, making it to the championship with 7 people. And one of
So
our 7 people, one of my absolute best friends now, Steph, she was still technically a senior in high school at the time. Like she graduated
wow,
early and came a semester early, but she turned 18 that February. Like she was playing college basketball at 17 because she came a semester early. So like 6 full college players and then Steph, who had been there for like a month before the conference tournament. So it was wild.
that is.
And your production at UMass was historic because you broke another record as you became their all-time leading scorer. Who you passed up Sue Peters, who was set 43 years ago. That record. And was she a mentor for you? And what did passing her record mean to you?
Yeah, it's funny. We put a mentor program within women's basketball 2 seasons ago, actually, with COVID. And I coincidentally was paired up with her when obviously at that point had no idea that the record was going to even be in talks for me. Like I came into UMass just trying to enjoy playing again. And whatever came with that came with that. So when I was paired up with her, I was really just, trying to navigate playing at the college level again. And we had a lot of just like life talks, I guess, like what she did after college basketball. um I didn't know I was going to have a 5th and 6th year, so at that point it could have been towards the end for me. I was only supposed to have a season and a half here and I got 3.5. So at that point, like she was talking about, she had refed after college, so I learned a lot about that. And she's little, she's a guard, she's not a forward, so very different positions. But just listening to her about like team chemistry, culture, all that, and then in terms of like real life experience, like after basketball, playing overseas, like all the possibilities, learning from her has been like absolutely awesome. And again, like it being her record and her like coming to some games and tuning into all the games she can, like being one of the first people to congratulate me after, like I go to my phone and she email, we're a very different generation, so she emails me going back to an email from her congratulating me is just like surreal. Like it's so awesome. And like if you asked me like 3 years ago, like I never would have thought any of that would happen. I never would have thought I was going to be like close with the former all-time leading scorer. And she's so awesome. We're going to get dinner here soon. She's in the Boston area, so going to meet up with her soon to get dinner. So just like forming these relationships and like maintaining them is like something that I'm about. And I've learned from my coaches here. They're really big on that. And I'm glad that they've like instilled that on me and that I've been able to like follow through with that.
Speaking of things that have been instilled in you, because you are a fierce competitor, and that's been shown throughout everywhere you've been. But do you hate to lose more than you want to win?
Someone just asked me that question a few weeks ago, and I really don't know. Like that's such a difficult question because like winning just feels so good. Like,
It
and
does,
I
yeah.
feel like they kind of go hand in hand, but also like just in practice, if we're doing drills, like obviously winning's going to feel good, but I really just hate the feeling of losing. So like I'm kind of 50-50 on that because I really do hate to lose, but winning just feels so good too. So it's like a perfect mix of both.
If you could give any advice to any North Catholic student or any students who are going through the same recruiting process that you went through, what would your advice be?
Definitely don't be afraid to ask questions. I know coming out of high school, I was quiet, introverted, didn't ask as many questions to college coaches as I probably should have. Definitely ask questions about social life, like life outside of basketball, teammates, culture. And definitely ask the team that too, because sometimes coaches aren't always going to be straightforward because, recruiting is a process. They're going to try to say whatever to get you to go there. So try to ask the team and get a feel and definitely go with your gut. That's one thing I can say. I wouldn't say I necessarily had that gut feeling at Penn State. But I definitely had it at UMass. So go with your gut. Your gut's not going to steer you wrong. And then two, just like, don't stop working. Like even like on the days where you like really don't want to do it, like try to flip it and see it as a positive. Like, oh, I really don't want to, whatever sport you are, I don't want to go shoot. I don't want to go, kick a soccer ball, like whatever sport it is, just like use it as a time to clear your head and like try to see the positive side of everything. Cause like me having that mindset shift has like really helped my outlook on everything in life.
So now that you're done with college, what's next for you to accomplish in the rest of your career?
I am hoping to play overseas. So well, I am going to play overseas, I guess. So I have an agent for that, signed with him a week and a half ago now, maybe 2 weeks
Awesome.
ago. Yeah, so that's been super exciting. Stress relief finding him. And then now just figuring out what country. You guys saw my dog probably earlier on in the Zoom.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring him with me. So super excited about that. Don't know where, don't know when. But just being able to travel and play the game that I love and get paid to do it is just such a win in my books. And I'm hoping to play until my body doesn't let me anymore. So fingers crossed that's a while.
Do you have a preference of which country to go to?
Um, if I got to pick and like everything could align, I would say Greece just because I wanted to go to Greece for like years now. So why not like get paid to do it? But honestly, any country I'm gonna find super exciting. I've been to Spain, I've been to Portugal, I've been to Ireland. I know I love all three of those. They feel safe to me. So really any country that feels safe, and lets me bring a dog, because not all countries will let me bring Turbo over there. So any country that lets me bring Turbo and I feel safe, then I'll be set.
All right, Sam. Awesome. This is a great interview. Good. Thank you for coming on, and good luck in your future endeavors overseas.
Thank you very much. And thank you guys for having me. It's an absolute honor.
And you just heard from Sam Breen. And what an honor it was to have her on the podcast, right? As she is a true North Catholic athletics legend. Her accolades and her accomplishments here at North Catholic, especially that scoring record, is probably going to last for a long time to come, as that's going to be tough to beat. And even though her college career is over, her professional career is to come, and we wish her all the best in that.
Yes, we do. And now let's move on to some current North Catholic athletics. The baseball team, we'll start off with them. They're having a good year, 7-5 on the season overall. First place in their conference now after two back-to-back wins over Indiana, 1-3-2 and 1-9-4. The 3-2 one was a walk-off thanks to Tommy Carulli with got the ball in play on with the bases loaded, counted as a hit, and they got a win off that 3-2. And that was a big one. The next day was domination, 9-4. They were up 9-0 at one point in that game. So they're hitting their stride at the right time as they try to finish up their season. Probably got around 6 games left. I don't know the exact number, but a lot of positive momentum going into the playoffs.
Absolutely. You got 2 more section games remaining, as you got multiple out-of-conference games, as Ryan mentioned there. The 2 section games next Monday and Tuesday are against Kiski. North Catholic just has to win one of those games in order to clinch the section championship. And that will be something that they were expected. Well, I would say they were hoping to be in that position at the end of this season. And it's something that took them a little bit longer to get a groove going than they wanted to. And they got those 2 big wins against Indiana, as you said, Ryan. And now they're in prime position to win the section and put themselves in a great position seeding-wise for playoffs. As this team can go far, as they have the hitting 9, as you said, put up 9 runs on Indiana on Tuesday, in a game where Indiana's pitching has been pretty impressive so far this season. So they really touched them up in that game, and that is hopefully a sign of things to come. As North Catholic's pitching, on the other hand, has been remarkable. Tommy Shafley with a big win on Monday against Indiana, and Seamus Straub with the start and the big win on Tuesday. So as long as those 2 guys are humming, this team is going to keep on moving along nicely.
And now let's move on to the cross. Let's start with the girls. They're having a pretty good year. If they win one more game that they have left against Blackhawk, and do they have other games after that? They have other games after that as well. If they win those,
this is the big one.
But they need to win this one, or at least some more games to be able to make the playoffs. But they're having a pretty good year. They had a big win against Ambridge the other night, 15-1, and so they're getting some momentum. Mandy Heinbach scored 1, Brittany Cullen scored 2, Molly Croft with 1, Avery Saba with 4, Annie Shelby had 5 as she reached the 100-goal mark this year.
Oh, she's climbing now.
Yeah.
She might get to over 130 by the end of the season.
Delaney O'Shea had 1, and Ava Omistis has 1 as well. And Gia Lipinski had an 87% save percentage, 1 goal allowed with 7 saves, so she had a good game as well, and they're hoping to keep the momentum going and make the playoffs.
Absolutely, and something that was cool about that game against Ambridge, you had Delaney O'Shea there and Ava Omistes scoring, and they're not normally in the positions that they're able to score, as they normally play a little bit back on defense, and especially to be able to have those kinds of games against Ambridge and to get a lot of people involved like how they have in that game, as they really support each other so much. Those teams do, and that's an important thing that to their success this year, as they are better than last year. and they definitely have a much better team environment this year than they did last year. And that is a testament to the leadership of the seniors that they have and the support that they have from the underclassmen, as they really do look up to those seniors. And it's been a great year for the girls lacrosse team. The boys lacrosse team, on the other hand, they are 3-6 in the year, and they're having a good season. And they could be in the playoffs right now too, as they have a couple games left. They have about 6 games left. They have a big game tomorrow against Winchester Thurston. As we're recording this right now on Thursday the 27th, Friday the 28th, they play Winchester Thurston, who's not that good, and they should beat Winchester Thurston. They do play Mars next Monday. Mars is a really good team, and they normally are every year, so that's gonna be a tough game. And then they play four more after that: Swickley Academy, Franklin Regional, Shaler, and Central Catholic. So they still have an opportunity to make playoffs. So they're just going to have to win some games down the stretch in their final 6.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, as Mars is one of the best teams in the state in boys lacrosse. They've always been great. But there are some winnable games on there. And obviously, the section games, the ones that matter. So you got to get some wins. You got to bear down. You get some wins down the stretch. So let's see if they can pull it out.
And lacrosse, really a pretty better year for lacrosse than it has been in the years past. And it's been a successful year, and we really have enjoyed following along with their stories this year. And the boys tennis team, undefeated so far, as they're on their way towards playoffs. As the playoff field is set, they'll be playing at North Boundary Park, I believe, on Tuesday afternoon for their first playoff matchup, as they have had a stupendous year, folks. Absolutely stupendous, as they've been dominant in section, undefeated in section, should I say. And they beat a Mars team that's a higher classification, 3-2, way back in April, and the wins since then have just been remarkable.
Yeah, they have been, and they've won a lot of games in dominating fashion as well. Just shut out performances. They beat North Hills 5-0. And I don't know, is their record 9-0? They might even be better than that now.
They're probably better than 8-0.
But they're having an unbelievable season after losing their best player as well, Nicholas Scheller, and they just continue to reload. And they just have so many great players on their team: Justin Consul, Alex Garvey,
Brady Gola, and Alex Fuber. Wills Contul have done remarkable jobs this year, especially in doubles competition, as they have some great one-on-one participants, and they have some fantastic, as well, doubles teams that have really been able to bring them over the top in a lot of these section matches that they've had this season. And now that they're set for the playoffs, all the focus is going to be on the road ahead, as they're looking pretty good heading into the playoffs for sure. In volleyball, Ryan, another remarkable team this spring, has really had a lot of success, namely, as of late, their win against Ambridge this past, what day was that? That was this past Tuesday night.
Yeah, definitely, Alex. They started off a little bit slow, just trying to gel a little bit, but now they've really picked it up, and that Ambridge win was absolutely huge. And that one was in 5 sets. They won the first 2, and then Ambridge won back-to-back sets, and then North Catholic finished it off in an exciting 5th set. And I wasn't able to broadcast that game, Alex, but you were there, and you definitely kept that one entertaining, and it was an entertaining game in itself.
It was a long game. I was hoping to get out there at 8:30, and we're sitting there at 9:30 in the 5th set.
Yeah, but both times against Ambridge have went to 5 sets. North Catholic hasn't had a lot of 5-set games this year. The one against Ambridge, the one against Hopewell.
That's the only one they beat Hopewell.
LaSalle lost in 5 sets. That was a non-section game. And then they beat Ambridge 3-2, so it's good to get that win, and that's a big one, as they're now up there in first place. In the section of Olsh coming up, Mars coming up on tour again, and then they also have another fun game against Central and Hopewell. So they still got a decent bit of schedule left, and so about halfway through the season, maybe a little bit over that, but they're getting to that time where every single game counts, and it's
make or break time.
Yep.
It really is.
You're absolutely right, because that first seed is just so crucial in the playoffs.
You're absolutely right. And right now they're ranked 4th in 2A heading into this week in the latest coaches poll. With that win against Ambridge, who was the 3, they're going to be at least a 3 by the time we get to next Monday, and those rankings come out once again. And Rosario Alessandro is named one of the 2A players of the week for this week, as he has had a remarkable season. He had a great game on Tuesday night, looking to continue that this Thursday. And Luke Ball on Tuesday night. Really, really impressive, as he had multiple blocks, multiple kills that were huge for the momentum swings of that game and the leadership that they had in between that fourth and fifth set when the body language was terrible in that fourth set. They let it get away from them when they were down 6-1. That early, you could tell that they were not going to win that set and it was going to go to 5. The players went in the back hallway by the locker rooms in between those sets to have a little bit of a players-only talk, try to get right in the right mindset before heading to that fifth set. And when they came out, the energy was loose, they were relaxed, and they were confident. And they were down for a little bit of that fifth set, but they came back to win it in big-time fashion.
Yes, it did, Alex. And now let's move on to track and field. You remember the track and field team. You've had a good year yourself, setting personal records in most of your events, or all your events this year, so congratulations on that. But I know you don't want to talk about your accomplishments, so why don't we talk about the team accomplishments?
Absolutely. The team this year has set so many personal records. Every person on the team this year has displayed maximum effort. And it's been tough this year, Ryan, without having a track to be able to practice on like we did last year with Freedom. So a lot of the practices that we've had have been at the school, and a lot of it's been on our own. But we've had the opportunities to be able to go to NAI for practices, to go to RMU for practices, which has been a great find this year that we've been able to do. But that's only sparingly throughout the week compared to what we've been able to do in the past. And so a lot of it has been on your own work and trying to make the best of what we have. And a lot of the runners and athletes and throwers and jumpers that we've had this year have really done so in so many big ways. The girls just missed out on winning the section championship this year. The boys, we had a little bit of a tougher fare, but it's been a good year. It really has been a good year for the track and field team. JJ Quinta set a school record this year in his shot put throw. I believe it was 42 feet 5 inches, which is remarkable. He's going to go to Whippeals with that. So individually, the team has really excelled. Collectively, we haven't all been there at certain meets, so the consistency at meets has been a little bit choppy. But overall, the individual success of this group has been remarkable. And you're going to see a lot of individual people that are going to move on to Whippeals at Slippery Rock, which is less than 3 weeks away now. And we're really excited about that and the possibilities of what's to come with this team in our first year at 3A against some of the biggest schools and most talented schools in the state. And it's been a good year for the team. It really has been.
It has. And what's next?
What's next? So we got a invitational this weekend at South Fayette. That's a big one. We got one against Baldwin coming up as well. And then we have a last chance meet at Pine Richland for individual times before we get on to Whippeals, and then we have the Whippeal meet at Slippery Rock. That's right around the corner, really. It's less than 3 weeks away, and for our 3A championships. And then after that, those that qualify as a result of that will be moving on to states at Mechanicsburg Friday and Saturday right before Memorial Day. But it's coming up right around the corner though, right? As we're getting up there.
Yeah, we are.
We're getting up there.
And we'll finish off this talking about softball. They haven't had a great year. It's been rough for them so far this year, but they're staying optimistic. They're working hard. They're getting better, and they got some good younger players. So hopefully the next couple of years they can start to improve and get some wins.
They'll be getting there. They do have some talented people. They just have to have a little bit more people on the team would help. Absolutely. So they wouldn't be strained as much, and they will develop over the years as the classes continue to move by, and we wish them all the success in the remainder of the season that they have, as they're starting to come and be a little bit more successful as the year has moved on. That's for sure. And that's all we got for today, right?
Yeah, it is, Alex. A good podcast.
We'll have some interviews probably next week. We'll do another one.
And we thank Sam Breen for coming on. It was a great interview. We look forward to covering the rest of the spring sports. We're counting down the days till the end of the school year and the playoff time for these spring sports. We thank you all for listening. Remember, we are your one-stop podcast for everything North Catholic athletics.